with that, it is championship weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. We are back, and it is championship time. We made it. Some of us made it in some leagues. Wes, how'd you do? Are we competing for titles this weekend?
I'm competing for one championship, baby. A 32-team league, which in its own regard is impressive that I am one of the two best teams. But lost in the other one I was in thanks to certain running back in Miami who did not slide when he broke free. However, I made championship because he did that in that league. So that was a wild, wild play. That is one of the most fantasy football plays I've ever seen. Ever. Yeah. He should have slid, but touchdown for him. How did you do? Did you get in any? This was a weird year, man.
It was a very weird year. In the same 32-man league, Wes, you and I played each other. And so what took you out in one league also helped you win in one league. And it took me out in that league. It helped you win in. So we were up against each other in the 32-man league. I think it was like a 7 or 8 point margin of victory. And so that touchdown right there definitely did that. So was out in that one. It was Sunday was tough, guys. I'll be honest. It was just a weird year. I drafted McCaffrey in so many leagues. And I had counted it as a win to have even made playoffs in this league. What I would consider maybe our main league, or what I would consider my main league, West, that I would consider everyone, you're playing a lot of leagues, but you consider maybe one you hold in a higher regard. It's not any different. It's just because I started this league like 8 years ago, and it's just grown, and we've had some great memories with a lot of the same guys, and a few guys, flipped in and out. But oh man, I scored 161 points and I lost because my opponent has an absolute juggernaut of a team and scored 194. I was in 7 semifinal matchups this week and I lost in 5 of them. So it was tough. It was tough, but I'm competing in 2 leagues. I'm here. We're here. We've made it, and we're ready to push forward, you guys. We're ready to move on to championship weekend. It's gonna be a grand old time. Real quick, we got a fun show.
My fiance made it into the championship, so I gotta shout that out.
She beat me. in our league. I was the 1 seed. I was 11-3 in this league, and your fiance took me out. A lovely time for Josh Allen to come back to earth. That was thrilling. That was nice. Really good timing there, Josh. Thanks. Appreciate that, dude. Yeah, I did. That was fun. My wife and I were the 1 and 2 seed in that league, and we both lost this weekend. So it was
incredible. Devastating.
Tough weekend here in the Selby household. So anyway, we got a good show for you guys. Not a good show, a great show. Fluke for real with a couple of guys, because listen, if you're in the championship, there's not many guys relevant here to give you insight about, but we're here to give you insight on some of the guys that you need to be thinking of. Victory Lap Tuesday, obviously, and then we're doing not only a Thursday night football preview, but we're doing a Christmas Day preview as well. We got 2 games on Christmas. We got 3 football games, 3 NFL games before we end up seeing you guys again on Friday. So we're going to give you a preview for those 3 games. If you want to win a signed James Cook jersey, so last week to do so, go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. It's going to be eligible for you there if you join any tier of our Patreon. So go ahead and do that, and you get to join our Discord community as well and support us in our documentary making endeavors, which I'll just tease that real quick, which we've got a couple coming out in the next couple months. So it's going to be fun stuff there. fourthandtrollstore.com. It's too late if you were trying to get anything for the holidays, but not too late for a New Year's gift. So there you go.
New Year's. And I hear cute girls like New Year's gifts.
Cute girls like New Year's gifts. I got a cute girl. She likes New Year's gifts. So, I mean.
Nice. I have a cute girl on engaged too.
You do, yeah.
Not
my wife.
She's got some... No, different person.
Again, just to clarify things, we're not from Utah. That is not what we're doing here.
Just get those Utah people out of
dropping. Yeah,
unsubscribe if you're from Utah. Not true. Please subscribe.
Let's jump in. Yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Let's jump in the news. Wes, I got a notification Before we started recording that my Duolingo streak was at risk of ending because we recorded this on Monday night after the game. So I've got about 21 minutes till midnight. So I'm going to hit this and you go ahead and do the news. Okay.
Yeah, made a deal. Okay. So there's only a few pieces of news to kind of go over. One of them is just jumping into next season.
Mi hermana es muy inteligente.
Following the benching of Kirk Cousins, the Falcons agreed to cut him. So it's going to be all Michael Penix Jr. next year.
Very es elegante.
Anyway, all right. We all saw what happened on that Saturday game with Tank Dell. Awful, devastating situation. After you score a touchdown,
Gato.
Dislocated kneecap, officially torn ACL as well. Obviously, not going to be playing this week. We'll see just how long it takes for him to recover, but should be okay for next year. We'll see. Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion and was out after just a couple plays, only 4 points. Kenny Pickett would start if his ribs are okay. So that's going to be very interesting for the Eagles. But obviously, Hurts going to be in concussion protocol. And then George Pickens, he's back at practice, should be ready to go for this Wednesday game. Don't forget, games start on Wednesday. They start on Christmas Day. Get your lineups ready by Tuesday evening so that you don't have to worry about your finals on Christmas Day. Good Lord, that ringing is crazy. Isaac Guerrero returned to practice, and then Deontay Johnson signed with the Texans following that Tank Dell injury. That's it for the news. How are you doing on Duolingo? You all right?
Tu carro.
Yeah, oh, that was nice. Yeah, nice way to roll your R's there.
Él tiene un perro.
Okay. How many more do you have?
Yo tengo un perro. Perfect lesson, dude. Perfect lesson. So there you go. Nailed it. All right,
that's awesome.
I didn't hear anything you said, but I'm sure it was all important news to talk about.
It's written down. You can look at it.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, Streaks is alive.
Let's go. Streaks is alive. Streaks alive. All right. Yeah, what are we doing now? Let's jump into a Victory Lap Tuesday, Wes. This is a fun one because, listen, I said on Friday, we usually say we don't do this to be cocky or anything like that. Fuck that shit, dude. I'm doing this to be cocky right now because I came out here on Friday. I said, listen, what are you going to be more upset about? Benching Jaden Daniels and him still being epic, amazing, fantastic on your bench, or that Jaden Daniels gets like 15 fantasy points? Listen, he's going to have the bounce back. I gave you the reasoning. Good or solid quarterbacks do great, have done really well, scored 20 or more fantasy points against the Eagles. The guys that hadn't were all pretty much bums besides Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow without T. Higgins. It was all there. I laid it out for you. And what did he have? 5 touchdowns. He was the QB1 on the week. Over 40 fantasy points, 44 fantasy points, helped you win your week. I mean, this is exactly what we said here over on social media, on the show. He's going to help you win your week. Do it. Roll him out. That's what I'm talking about. That was just... And watching that game, man, it's just like rookie of the year argument is over. Like he has secured it. That was his rookie of the year moment. That was his. We saw how it happened in his game in week 11. It wasn't good. They shut him down, and he came out and absolutely balled. It was fantastic. He put the team on his back. Jameson Crowder is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Apparently, it's incredible stuff.
Obviously,
anyway, that was a fun one there. And then anyway, I said Calvin Ridley was a stud. Best game in 7 weeks, 16.8 fantasy points, gets the long touchdown to start the game. Unfortunately, Chico Conquo just kept on getting more targets. So I guess that happened, which I still wasn't anticipating, but still 16.8 is a great week for Calvin Ridley. And then he called Tua a dud, 14.5 fantasy points. Just it's I'm so glad they won. So our playoff chances are alive and we get to move further back in the draft order. Anyway, go ahead, Wes.
I mean, just the Jaden Daniels one, I just want to give you another chance to take a lap on that one because it did pretty well on social media. A lot of people argued against you and said it was crazy. And then here he is as the very best. And
looking at you, Joey.
Yeah, it's funny how they get quiet when it turns out the way we say.
Listen, I'm just happy. I'm happy it went that way. I'm happy. I hope people listened. I had confidence, and I hope you listened, and that you are moving on to the championship. That's just yes. Yeah, I'll be modest.
I had a couple of sets and duds that were correctamundo. One is Patrick Taylor, just straight out of the gate, said, "Do not start a fourth string running back in your playoffs." And sure enough, not even 4 points, 3.5.
Nope.
Full PPR, half PPR, doesn't even matter. It was terrible. And Dolphins defense is also not that great. It was just this guy. There's a reason. No offense. Reason he's 4th on the depth chart. Okay.
Yeah.
Bucky Irving, there's a reason he's probably the number 1 running back in Tampa Bay and will be next season. He was my stud. I said, if he's healthy, you roll him out. Doesn't matter. He's proven he's incredible. And he, out of the gate, had like double digits like in the first quarter, like first drive. He was awesome and finished with nearly 20 points. Bucky Irving is the truth. He's probably this season's fantasy football player favorite. I mean, he's been awesome. Teammate as well. We asked in Fluke for real. Is Jalen McMillan for real? We said 2 weeks in a row with 16 points. Absolutely. This guy's for real. And oh my gosh, we said here, taking victory lap on this, we said he is worth putting in your flex option. There's definitely players on people's existing playoff rosters that you can likely start over him. But if you've got McMillan, you're not sure what to do with that flex option, put him in. And 4 touchdowns in 3 games with another double-digit performance with nearly 20 points. I mean, this guy is really, really good. And unfortunately for Mike Evans, 1,000-yard chances might not quite catch that with McMillan there. But here's the one that we do not apologize for this because we have been about this player all off season. And we are, this got over 65,000 views on TikTok, and it sparked a lot of controversy, but we stood firm in our stance, and we said Devon Achane is a league winner, and Devon Achane could be the number 1 running back in fantasy football, and here he is going into the last week as the running back 5, even though he essentially missed 4 games without Tua because that's how much of an impact Tua has on his game, and that's 22.6 points a game with Tua. Unbelievable. And if Tua didn't miss any time, he's looking at pretty much 360 plus points. That's unbelievable.
He'd be more, the RB1. He'd be the RB1 more than Saquon. Had Tua not miss time. Yeah.
He is phenomenal, and
that's what I'm talking about.
That, I mean, just that run against the 49ers is, as I said at the top of the show, the most fantasy football run I've ever seen. Anyone else with just football IQ would slide at the one, let the clock run out, and he's there, and he said no. This is the semifinals of fantasy football. I'm crossing that goal line. Let me tell you, every single person in our Discord that has made championships has made it with Devon Achane. Everybody made it with Devon Achane, including me, and the one I made it in, I've got Achane, okay?
Yeah.
And this guy, I mean, I have someone that texted me. They said I had a 1% chance to win because the last game was at the very end of that 4th quarter, made playoffs because of Devon Achane. There it is. Victory lap. Full season victory lap on Devon Achane. Buckets. Let's move on.
Buckets. Yeah, let's do it. It's been a great year. Let's jump into one final waiver wire before championship weekend. These are the guys that you have to be picking up, be scooping up. Make sure you get them on your team, potentially in your lineup. They're going to be important to you. No one. Why are you even still listening? It's championship weekend. It's like you're not starting these guys. Ready? I'll throw you a bone. If you really want to know, go over to our Discord. We'll talk about it. Get over there if you want to talk about who to pick up. But listen, there's no one worth talking about here. You're not going to be like, well, yeah, Patrick Taylor Jr., he worked out well. Kendra Miller, he was awesome. Nope, nobody. So that's that. Let's jump into Fluke for Real, Wes, because it's the very last Fluke for Real of 2024. Good guys, a couple of them. Thanks you bad guys. And light list here, just 6 guys we're here to talk about today, but guys that we think people that are in the championship are going to be considering. And so we need to break down some performances here, starting out with Tajay Spears with 21.6 fantasy points, follows up his 2 touchdown week last week with another 2 touchdowns this week. I don't know if they're just seeing what they have in Spears because there's not much left in the year anyways, or if the Pollard injury is really weighing him down a lot. But I mean, it seems like Tajay is going to be the lead back, or at least the primary option for touchdowns. I mean, he also had 4 targets. So I don't know if you're rolling out Tajay, but I mean, maybe in dynasty leagues, like I think he's a safe flex. I mean, he's at over 20 fantasy points in each of the last 2 weeks. I think he's a fine option. What do you think?
I think there is a real strong, high risk, high reward with Tajay Spears in the flex option. I like it. I can be convinced to start him in the flex option. And I see it too. I think Tony Pollard just did not pan out in Tennessee. We saw some nice opportunities at the start of the year for him. And then, of course, last season with the Cowboys, he just wasn't the guy that he was when he was behind a good Ezekiel Elliott. Tajay, we were really excited about to take over for Derrick Henry. They brought in Pollard and it just didn't work out. But this I absolutely see as a real scenario to start Tajay Spears in the championship in your flex option. Or I mean, if you just lucked out and you just have running back injuries and you need to take, maybe you got one of these running backs later on our list here for the bad side, Tajay I would start over probably any of these other running backs. We only got 2 more on this list, but I can be convinced to start him. I say for real.
Man, that sucks. Pollard was having such a good year to start the year. Like his first half of the season was so exciting for fantasy.
Very
RB12,
consistent.
RB 18, 14. Like he wasn't like that top 10 guy, but he had the 12, 18, 14, 15, 22, 12. Like he was a really solid pick going late in drafts, and then he hasn't been. I mean, it's just not been great. I think he is just way more hurt than we are aware of, and I mean he's been hurt all year. So it's Tajay is a fine option in your championship weekend if you need a flex play. Deebo Samuel. Who played this guy? Am I right? I did in a dynasty league. I did. I so firmly did not believe in Patrick Taylor Jr. I thought the opportunity would be there for Deebo after so many down games. And honestly, I was like, it's the Dolphins. It's my favorite football team. Of course, Deebo is going to get his mojo back against Miami. 25.1 fantasy points, 7 catches, 9 targets, and a touchdown. He also had 5 carries for 25 yards, so averaging 5 yards a carry. Looked nice there. It felt like Deebo of old, but flash in the pan. I mean, don't risk it here with especially if Guarendo's back. I would consider it if we get to the point where it's like Guarendo's not playing and it's still Patrick Taylor Jr., but I just don't. I'm not going to chase after 1 week, I don't think.
I agree. I would consider starting Deebo Samuel in the finals to win the championship if I was the 6th seed with the fewest points scored and I just kept winning my way to the championship because I have the least points scored against me and I'm just going to try something. Like there is so little reason
for me to think.
So if
you're in that scenario,
maybe go for it. High risk, high reward, see what happens. Go big or go home with Deebo Samuel, who we've said is probably his last year in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's also reality. Is maybe it's like they're not playing for the playoffs anymore. It's his last year in San Francisco. Maybe they just work him to the bone, and maybe that's it.
But give us a second round pick for him.
Like it wouldn't surprise me if Deebo was like a top 20 wide receiver next week, but if that was the instance and we end up looking at that game and going, oh yeah, that's what they end up doing. But I'm not chasing the points, especially in the championship.
Neither am I.
Yeah. All right. On to some big guys. Let's talk about the big guys. Don't copyright us, Billy. Hey, Cooper Kupp. Oh man. Is it over? I don't want to overreact, but it's like 2. He's had 6 targets in the last 2 weeks. Like the game was weird against. Is it a circumstance of it was 2 weird games? I don't know.
Because I feel like Matthew Stafford could have been in this section as well for the bad side, but no one's really thinking about Matthew Stafford too much. That made So I think
what?
I think it's
Fluke. I'm going Fluke.
You're gonna go Fluke on this?
I am gonna go Fluke on this. Man. I think it was two really weird games. Puka had a down game for his standards too. He was still scored in the teens, but what a weird game. And
another weird one.
The week before, it was the super strange rain game against San Francisco. The target share concerns me. And if I'm being honest, I've been watching him and he doesn't look like he's fully healthy. He looks like he's playing through something. But I can't imagine if I've gotten to the championship. I don't know. He won't be in my top 10 this week. And there'll be, I don't know. That's tough. He's probably going to be a back end wide receiver 2 when I look at my rankings and when I'm looking at things. So I think I'll finish around wide receiver 20, wide receiver 24, that sort of thing. But that's still a playable player in fantasy. I know Cooper Kupp. I know who he is. I know who he's been with Matthew Stafford. He's a couple games removed from a great game, and being awesome. But it's sure. I know it's scary. I don't want to get too confident in my calls. Jane Daniels, we were there, but it's more sad for me than anything because it's the Avatar meme where it's when we needed him most, he vanished. It's that whole thing. It's I just don't know what we should do.
So here's I'll just do one scenario and then we'll just have people ask us in the questions if they should start Cooper Kupp or this person. Ask us in the comment section or just join our Discord because we've been talking about Kupp for weeks now.
Yeah.
I've got 4 wide receivers. So you can only start 3. This is one of my dynasty teams. Okay. So this is an actual situation. Okay. Cooper Kupp, start 3, bench 1. Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Malik Neighbors, or Xavier Legette healthy.
I'd still play him. I play him over Legette.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I would. He's been a player in the league for a while. He's been great. It depends on the health of Jalen Hurts, I think. But also, Devontae had he had a lot of targets. Obviously, he dropped the biggest one, but he was getting stuff over the middle. But no, I think of those 4, I think I'd go Kupp, Neighbors, Devontae. I don't think Legette. I don't think it's going to be. I haven't seen enough to feel confident. More confident there.
Slinging it, dude.
QB2 on the week, dude. What a stud! Yeah. That was crazy.
Speaking of dynasty, I made trades like crazy to get Bryce Young, and I got him as soon as he was benched in week 3. I was like, "Give me Bryce Young." Eventually, he's going to do something, and oh my gosh, 30 points.
He might have played his way into being able to stick around. I hope so.
Go.
I think he will. Yeah. Okay, that's Cooper. So Cooper Kupp. What are we? We're still rolling out.
I think we're in disagreement as far as Fluke for real. I can't start him after 2 these bad points, but I can understand if you've made it with him. And you have no other, you've no better option than obviously. But if you got 4 great wide receivers and Kupp is one of them, I can see you benching him.
Jalen McMillan or Cooper Kupp?
McMillan, man, I got to be honest. McMillan's on fire.
Yeah, yes. with Tampa needing to win out to be able to make playoffs.
After the Rachaad White fumble to lose to the Cowboys, and they got to win. And the Falcons defense just destroy the Giants, and now they got to try to. They may not make playoffs now. Yeah, McMillan is the playoff hero of this season. I'm starting McMillan over Cooper Kupp.
Fair. Okay, Jared Judy, for real. Sorry, we're gonna go quick on that one because Jameis is gone. Sorry, Jerry. Yep. I'm glad you enjoyed a few games of success in your career. All right. Tony Pollard. We mentioned Tajay Spears. We're feeling this is for real. This injury is looking tough, and it's not great. So we'll see what happens. But it's probably for real. Not much to play for in Tennessee. They'll probably see what they have in the second year guy. And then the last guy here, Brian Robinson Jr. Wes, 2.1 points because he fumbled twice. At one point, he was -2 points. It was terrible. Rough. It was horrible. I know we know the matchup was bad, but that was really, really bad. Here's who do they? So hang on, real quick.
They play the Falcons.
Okay.
And that Falcons defense was hot.
They've been really good over the last few weeks. Yeah, I probably
the Giants are worse offensively than the Commanders, obviously, but
yeah.
You got two touchdowns. Of Brian,
I don't know. There's part of me that's like Cliff is going to want him to have a bounce back game, so he's going to give him some goal line carries, and maybe he scores 2 touchdowns in this game. But I mean, he's only scored because of where Brian Robinson's ADP was. You probably have a better option. So I think it's just probably for real. I wouldn't play him in the championship.
I think for real as well, because I also see that Robinson's only scored over 15 points 3 times all season, and he's been hurt a lot too, and the injury proneness, and full PPR.
Have those been really good games? Because it felt like he was like a solid back this year.
Dude, he scored 2 touchdowns in week 5 and still didn't even get 14 points. It's crazy.
Oh my word!
He's actually not
Brain Robinson.
Brian Robinson. No wrinkles on this Brain Robinson. Smooth guy.
Sucks.
Not as great as
he's been the RB2 kind of, 17, 14, 13, 13, 20, 14, 17. He's like perfectly like a mid contributor for your team. Like he's not a game breaker, but it's championship week. Go big or go
championship
home.
Week.
I think you take him out. Yeah. Pull him out of there. All right. That's it. It's Christmas time. Yay! It's the holiday season. Yeah. Okay. 2 Christmas Day games and then a Thursday night game. We're going to preview all of them with some must starts, risky starts, and don't starts for all of these games. Must starts, guys, you got to have in your lineup. Risky starts, we're a little concerned, and don't starts, don't even think about it. Wes, start us out. First game on Christmas. Chiefs versus Steelers. Must start.
Yes. All right. So, again, these are based on the games that are ahead, the players on these teams. There are and there will be players that I think you should start over some of our must starts and then risky starts. This is before this Chiefs-Steelers game. You got Mahomes. I think you can start Patrick Mahomes. I think you have the option to say he is a must start if you got Mahomes. If he is your quarterback, and if you have been streaming, maybe someone dropped him because he was absolutely droppable early in the season. Right now, he's been doing fine. He's been top 20, let's see, since week 7, which is okay. But he threw it 41 times last week on Saturday against the Texans, and that's pretty good. And I know 1 touchdown is not that exciting, but that ankle seems fine when he rushed for 5 times, 33 yards and a rushing touchdown. Yeah. He lowered his shoulder and got on the goal line. This is where Patrick Mahomes thrives. He thrives in these final few weeks. They're going to try to clinch that first seed this week against the Steelers. I like Mahomes. I like Mahomes a lot in this matchup. I can see him getting 25 plus points. If you got Mahomes and he's your quarterback and you made championship, trust in one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, rely on this guy. This guy with Randy Reed, go for it, man. Start Mahomes.
Very fair. Yeah, my must start is his wide receiver 1, so it seems Xavier Worthy. Back-to-back games with 11 targets, 19.6 points, and 20.5 points in back-to-back games. And 3 straight games playing 80+% of snaps, which had not happened yet this season. He had not been that guy who had been out there pretty much full-time. And now he is. He's out there on a very, very consistent basis. Even when going out with a bit of an injury in this game, he still played over 80% of the snaps. So he is definitely a guy. I think if you have him, he has to be in your lineup. I think he has game-breaking ability, and he will be fantastic. So I really, really like Xavier Worthy in this game. Risky, Wes. Who is it?
Yes, risky starts. If he's healthy, I think a risky start is George Pickens. He's missed 3 straight weeks, and if he's healthy, I do think it is a risk. Not just because of the injury, and he may just be a little bit sluggish, and the rushing attack in Pittsburgh has been really, really down. Najee Harris has been kind of absent the last couple of weeks. I understand the Chiefs are just going to isolate George Pickens and try to take an advantage. But I also am concerned about the way Russell Wilson's performed the last few weeks. He has not done a lot, and he's thrown a couple interceptions. He's thrown just 2 touchdowns. He was not the Russell Wilson that walked out of that Jets game looking like, oh, this is the Seattle Seahawks Russell Wilson. He's not doing a lot. 26 pass attempts, 22 pass attempts, 33 pass attempts, and just like a 50% completion rate. I'm not excited about Russell Wilson, and that makes me concerned about George Pickens coming off an injury. If he plays, I think Pickens is a risk.
Fair. Yeah, definitely. I think a risk on this game is his teammate, Najee Harris. Chiefs just shut down Joe Mixon. Harris has had under 10 carries in back-to-back games, and he's been outsnapped by Jaylen Warren in 3 straight. I'm pretty worried here. I don't think this is going to be a good game for Najee Harris, and I understand that maybe he's been a guy that's been a flex play in your lineup, but I think you have an opportunity to pivot out here, and I think he's going to be a bit of a letdown in this game. So don't ruin your Christmas. Get Najee, maybe get Najee out of your lineup.
And I'm going to go all the way with the don't starts and say don't start Jaylen Warren, who had a pretty good game last week. I don't think Jaylen Warren is the championship running back in your lineup. It's I know Najee, as you just said, has not been all that strong, but Jaylen Warren is not better, I hope, than 2 of your running backs on your team. So Jaylen Warren should not be in your starting lineup.
Yeah, I'm going to take one of the other running backs in this game, and it's Isaiah Pacheco. Don't start Isaiah Pacheco. He hasn't eclipsed 8.1 points since returning. It's a true committee backfield. And the Steelers' defense is legit, and they're not going to be having a good time there as far as it goes with Chiefs running back. So it's going to be it for Chiefs Steelers. Let's jump into Ravens Texans West with your must start of this game.
Yeah, I'm so freaking flippant, man. Don't start him last week. Must start. Freaking Mark Andrews, man. Yeah. I think you got to start Mark Andrews. I was so sure. Here's the thing. I was correct, okay? He does not do all that great against the Steelers, right. Mark Andrews.
13.8.
13.8.
He's only scored over 13 twice, yeah.
There it is, 13.8. What did he do? I that is proven, okay? So that, sure, he scored a touchdown. He can't stop scoring touchdowns, and it's kind of ridiculous. And in a game where the Ravens they're catching up to the Steelers, okay? They just beat them. They're tied in the division right now, okay? They have a chance to clinch the division in a couple of games. Texans, they're beat up offensively, defensively. I think Mark Andrews, if you got him, I don't know if you've got a better tight end on your team. If you do, I trust the other tight end most likely, but if you got Mark Andrews, man, I think you roll him out. It's ridiculous. They're going back and forth. It's such a pendulum.
I agree. Yeah, there was a guy who commented on one of our TikToks that was like, this aged poorly. And I was like 13.8, nice. And some other completely other person replied to it and was like, you're saying that like it's a bad thing. And I was like, yeah, fair. Yeah, we're just annoyed that he just keeps getting saved by touchdowns, but it keeps happening. Yeah. So there you go. My must start in this game. It's Joe Mixon. The matchup is very scary. I understand. I'm not thrilled about it. But without Tank Dell, I think the PPR value is going to take a jump for Mixon. He's had 6 targets in 3 of his last 4 games, and I think that goes up even more. And here's what I'm going to play the card I played last week as well. I just don't think you bench a guy like Joe Mixon in the fantasy championship, a guy who had over 100 yards and a touchdown in like 7 straight games to start the year. I think he's going to be relied on when they've lost another offensive weapon. And I expect him to find the end zone, and I expect his PPR value to go up. So I believe he'll be a fine contributor for your team. And I think at least in that 15-point range, if not more. I think so. I just don't think you can bench a guy like Joe Mixon in the championship.
I double down. 4th and Short double down. Joe Mixon is my risky start. I am quite worried. To back-to-back single-digit games, I would have said that was a fluke had it not been him going up against the Ravens defense, who are notorious in their rush. I mean, this is a real bad matchup. And if you have anyone to pivot to, I strongly suggest you don't start Joe Mixon. If you don't, bite the bullet. Hopefully you can make it and he gets in the end zone, like you said, but this is scary.
It is. It's a scary matchup. I just think he's been such a contributor for your team all year that it's like, oh, can you do it in the running back position? It's scary, but I think he'll be. Maybe he should have been a risky start. I'm not sure. Excuse me. Oh my god, what's happening right now?
Gee, whoa,
guy. Sorry about that.
Christmas coughing.
My risky start is Rashad Bateman. Okay, 5 touchdowns in his last 6 games.
Yeah,
feeling like a Jameson Williams type of player, where it's like he can get the touchdown, and if he doesn't, he disappoints. But he's just not as proven as Jameson Williams, I think, to be such an integral part of the lineup. But I think this game is going to be a game where the Ravens are going to need to be in it, and I think that's going to be closer than people think. I think we're going to get a good one on Christmas, and I think Bateman, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like, oh yeah, he had 17 fantasy points because he had, 4 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown or whatever, like that kind of thing. But like, I just think it's a bit of a risk. I don't love it, but I understand if it's something you're considering, maybe in a deeper league, in a 12, 14, 16-man league, 32-man league, who knows? But yeah, I just don't love it. So that's going to be my risky start. Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually only scored 8 points with a touchdown, which I think just says it all. And sure, from last game on Saturday, I can see for whatever reason he just goes off again. He's the touchdown guy, but he's a Nick Westbrook-Akine for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Here's my don't start. All wide receivers not named Nico Collins on the Texans. Don't try to be cute. Yeah. Don't try to look for Xavier Hutchinson. I'll read down the list. Is John Mechie going to play? He's ruled out. He's full practice on Monday. Don't start John Mechie. Anyway, don't start Robert Woods.
Don't start.
That's what I was going to get to. Don't start Deontay Johnson. This is not a revenge game, man.
Can you imagine?
I can you imagine? That would be hilarious.
They just give him like one route to run the whole game, and he just scores 3 touchdowns on it.
32 points just out of nowhere, and it's like, what? Yeah, no one from the Texans wide receiver room outside of Nico should be started.
Fair. I'll extend upon that. My don't start is Dalton Schultz, so he kind of relates there. Over 15.5 fantasy points in 2 of his last 3 games may seem appealing. I understand. Tank Dell's out. Well, what? Maybe that's going to continue. Maybe it's a sneaky play. What if I told you those were his first double-digit games of the season? Ooh. He went until 3 weeks ago to score double digits this year in fantasy. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't start Dalton Schultz. All right, get over the Christmas spirit. It's Thursday Night Football. We got Seahawks at Bears. Must starts, risky starts, and don't starts, obviously. Here we go, guys. Let's preview it. My must start. Grandpa Keenan Allen. Over 20 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. Did 54 targets over his past 5 games. Unreal. 5 touchdowns in his past 5 games. He's an absolute baller. Ever since they got the OC out of there, ever since Matt Eberflus had been fired, Keenan is absolutely balling out, and he's getting those targets like we saw him get in LA with Herbert. Caleb Williams is making Keenan Allen a fantasy stud, and he is a must start for me in championship week. I don't think you can look at his past 5 games, his past month and change, and get that out of your lineup. He's got to be in lineups for me.
I fourth and troll double down this as well, man. You got to roll out a wide receiver that's got back-to-back 20-point performances in full PPR in the fantasy playoffs. I mean, this guy he's going to win you your championship. I mean, obviously a lot of things can go on the other team that you're playing up against, but if you got Keenan Allen, holy smokes, he's so good. So there shouldn't be any question. We're here to make it absolutely firm. Start Keenan Allen to win your championship this week on Thursday night.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jumping into risky starts here. My risky start is Kenneth Walker III. Okay. Injured his ankle, so I'm not sure how healthy he's going to be if he's going to play in this game. Shocker. Kenneth Walker III injured himself? Oh. Anyway, first game back from the previous injury, and he had 8 catches. I think that's maybe appealing and that's fine, but he still didn't have a good fantasy output. The Bears have a really good pass defense, but the run defense is pretty poor. I just think it's too much of a risk, and I would try to pivot if you can.
Yeah, I contemplated for just like half a second about like maybe my risky start is Zach Charbonnet. Maybe just roll him out. Maybe it's Zach Charbonnet. But obviously there's such stronger options at running back than Charbonnet when Walker is healthy. But yeah, I'm really worried about Kenneth Walker. And I'm going to go with a teammate as my risky start. DK Metcalf, I think, is a risk. And I think that's kind of apparent right now. But I understand that you have wide receivers. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know, the wide receiver I started last week didn't do all that great. I made championship. Huzzah. Do I start Cooper Kupp or DK Metcalf? I think go to the waiver wire. Look for Jason Crowder.
Good luck. Yeah.
Go for Oliver Zacchaeus, man. Try for him. Maybe he gets another 2 touchdowns. But DK Metcalf has not scored, listen to this, has not scored 15 points in full PPR since week 7. This is not a starting wide receiver for championship. This is not someone that's going to push you past that curve to get into the margin of separation to win. He's clear backup to Jackson Smith-Njigba. That is a bona fide fact. He is a wide receiver too. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's the risky start. You looking at the stats there?
Yeah, that I thought I was about to follow up and go that doesn't include this week, right? No, that still includes this week. He didn't even get 15 points.
Scored a touchdown and still didn't even get 15 points, man.
Remember when he started the year and we were like, oh, he's back. And it was like
28 against the Patriots, 20 against Miami,
20.4, 15, 19.
Nothing.
And then it was like, oh. No,
then what happened? No. Jackson Smith-Njigba destroyed the Rams, and that has been it. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Don't start DK. Well, he's my risky start.
Yeah, risky start. Yeah. Okay, ready? Don't start DeAndre Swift. Here we are. Another week passes. Another week under 10 fantasy points. Under 10 fantasy points in all but one game in his last 7. Why is he still on your team? Why is he rostered? Cut him. That's it. Don't start DeAndre Swift. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and we've been on that train for a little bit, so I hope that by now the trollers have listened. But
by now you've already dropped them.
Yeah. Here's my don't start. Don't start Geno Smith. He had a really nice fantasy game against the Vikings last week. 3 tutties. I'll tell you the trolls. 300 yards. He's been kind of ass outside of that game. And by kind of, I mean pretty ass. Like, he has not been a top 15 quarterback since week 9, thanks to Jackson Smith-Njigba. That's the truth. So, Geno Smith, if you're running the quarterback waiver wire and you're streaming for this championship, I do not think Geno Smith is the quarterback you should start against the Bears. Yeah, the Bears have had some inconsistent defensive play, but there's no reason for me to think and for you to think that this one game isn't an outlier from his last several games. He is not a fantasy quarterback for the championship. Do not start Geno Smith.
Deal. Geno or Matthew Stafford? This is a real question that I have for my championship competition team.
Who do the Rams play
and the Cardinals?
Cardinals. Go with Stafford.
Yeah, I would go with Stafford. That's what I have in. I just wanted to double check. Yeah.
Get some revenge against what happened in week 2 when Marvin Harrison destroyed you. You've had some pretty sluggish stats. I think they got a chance to pretty much lock in the division if they beat the Cardinals. I'd rather go with that. I'd rather go with Stafford with 2 wide receivers that I trust Cooper Kupp more than. No, I don't know if I trust him more than DK Metcalf. But I trust Puka Nacua. No, sounds pretty good. I like Stafford more than Geno Smith, and I like that offense more. So that's a good one. But I like Stafford more.
James Conner, please play in that game, even though I know you probably won't. Oh, please help me. Listen, that's it. Let us know any championship start stick questions you have for these Christmas Day or Thursday Night Football games in the comments. We're happy to answer them. Make Totally the Troll smile by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell. And if you want a chance to win a signed James Cook jersey, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. We're giving that away next week. It's going to be a good one. So make sure you are there. That's it. Follow us on our socials. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody, all the trollers out there. And we will see you on Friday. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Fourth and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media Group and Selby Artistic Workshop.